Welcome back, everyone. I oftentimes get asked, how do I get started in astrology? What's the best approach? How do I, find the best way to learn about the chart, or learn about the signs and all the planets? And in this video, I'm going to go over the 5 best tips to getting started in astrology. Tip number 1. Memorize the order of the zodiac signs. This is extremely important. It sets the foundation for almost everything else that happens in astrology. You don't even have to focus on each sign in any great detail. Simply memorizing the correct order of the astrological signs sets the foundation for pretty much the rest of everything you'll be doing. For example, Aries, the first sign of the zodiac, also the ruler of the first house. So knowing the order of the signs really sets the tone for understanding house placements. And when you get further into your astrological studies, you'll realize that each sign rules a specific body part. And Aries, the first sign, rules the top of the head. Taurus, the second sign, rules the throat, and so on all the way down to Pisces, which rules the feet. Again, memorizing the correct order of the zodiac signs is essential because everything there follows that specific order. The reason why that might sound very simple, but it's really the fundamental part about learning astrology. You have to think, when you started learning the alphabet, you didn't start at letter H or anything like that. So the same approach is true. You learn the chart in order, starting with the first sign, Aries. The reason why it's so important to start from the first sign and learn them in order is because there's an unfolding happening in the astrological chart. And what I mean by that is from start to finish, from Aries to Pisces, there's a process happening with the zodiac. Aries being the starting point, Taurus being the second sign to take over what Aries left off, and Gemini and Cancer and so forth. If you understand the signs in order, it helps you to reinforce or learn what's happening with the overall process of creation of your astrological chart, if you will. And once you've learned all the signs in the proper order and you've understood everything, you'll start to realize when it comes to other astrologers and watching them work, you start to pick apart some of the smaller nuances of how they, rank their signs. In my opinion, and if anyone starts with explaining astrology and they start with Capricorn for some strange reason, that to me automatically means that they don't know their fundamentals. Because what it implies is that they think that astrology is aligned with the Julian calendar, or the calendar we use in our everyday life. For example, Capricorn typically starts from December going through January. So if someone starts with Capricorn in their description of astrology, they're pretty much starting as if Capricorn is the first sign, which we all know is not true. Aries starts the zodiac. Aries is that initial point with which astrology begins. So this helps you to understand, again, that whole process that's happening in astrology. It helps you to understand that what's being told is essentially a story, right? Where Aries is the start, Taurus continues, and it goes all the way through to Pisces. That story is what's really unfolding. So if you don't learn the signs in order, you're really shortchanging yourself and you're making your journey into learning astrology much harder. Tip number 2, now that you have the signs memorized in order, now you have to learn each one. And this might not seem, again, like an easy way out, but really it's, once you start learning each sign for what it is, and what I mean is, once you start learning each sign in depth, starting to stretch your knowledge of each sign and understanding the ins and outs, right? Starting with Aries, of course, and moving down the line, it helps to strengthen your vocabulary, your astrological vocabulary. And from that point, you'll be able to understand the signs better, and you'll be able to understand other parts of astrology that you're starting to learn. Tip number 3 would be to learn the houses, right? Again, in order. This is so important. Learn the houses and understand what each house means. Because you've already done the footwork in step number 2 to learn the signs, you'll notice that there's a lot of repetition, right? For example, if you learn Aries in and out, understand Aries from top to bottom, and you start learning about the first house, you'll see that Aries and the first house are one and the same. So learning each house will then help to reinforce step number 2. And you'll also realize that in steps number 2 and 3, you're learning a different side of the astrological chart. One, with learning the signs, you're learning at what energies are at work. And while you're learning the houses, you'll know where those energies are at work. And I'll touch on that a little bit more later. If you've made it up to this point, take a second, hit the like button or subscribe button, and let's get back into it. Step number 4, again, learn each planet. So just like you've done in step 2, step 3, you took a methodical approach at understanding each individual portion, and learning the planets in step 4 is just another step in that methodology. Learn each planet and what they mean astrologically. One fun thing about astrology is that oftentimes we'll see that the things we learned early in life, like 3rd and 4th grade when we first learned the planets, a lot of that still holds true. For example, when you think about Jupiter, when you learn Jupiter as a child, you learn like Jupiter is the biggest planet, Jupiter is the largest planet. The same thing is true in astrology, and it makes it a little bit easier. In astrology, Jupiter is a planet of expansion. That means whatever Jupiter touches gets bigger. And learning the planets will help to reinforce steps 2 and 3. Now, the reason why you have to take this approach, learning the signs, then the houses, then the planets, is because overall, you'll realize that the planets are what energies are at work. The signs are how those energies work, and the houses are where those energies work. So you're combining all of those aspects when it comes to interpreting your astrological chart. Step 5 should be the last step. It's important, but it becomes more important after you've already learned the first 4 of these steps here. Step 5 is learn about aspects. Learn about the major aspects: trines, sextiles, squares, oppositions, and conjunctions. Those should be the places that you start first. It's cool to learn the other aspects too, but those other aspects are minor aspects like quincunxes and things of that nature. You want to start with the fundamentals, which are the first 5 aspects that I mentioned. And the bonus tip number 6, after you've learned all these steps, 1 through 5, practice on your own astrological chart. Try to dig into what makes you tick. Try to use all those things you've learned and relate them to yourself. Find out how each of these signs and each of these houses and each of these planets and their placements affect you, right? So you'll learn that astrology, it really helps you to understand yourself. And the more you study your chart is the more that you'll get a feel for other people's chart. So once you've mastered yourself, understanding other people becomes so much easier. So those are my 5 tips, really 6, that's going to help you jumpstart your astrological journey. And it's really going to help you to understand yourself, which is the most important aspect about, learning about astrology. And then, once you've had all these fundamentals down and you really have a good grasp on, those first 5 steps and then the 6th step, you'll really be able to start venturing off into sort of that uncharted territory of astrology, being, understanding transits, making horoscopes or predictions. All of that stems from this. I hope you found this video helpful. And if you like the video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel. I've got plenty more videos coming up for you. And thank you for watching.